How's it going, everyone? It's Sourcing out back with an all new video, and I have an ulcer in my mouth, so it's gonna be a pretty much like bad speech today. But we're gonna be creating this sort of art today, and it is inspired by Glitch Richmond on Instagram. It's probably given down below in the description if you want to check him out. He literally created something really awesome, but inspired by him, I thought of creating this, and this is what I got from the result. And you can maybe experiment around a lot more things and just do a lot more with this, but for now we're going to be creating this today. Okay, there are a lot of things we need to do, and I'm going to be heading over in Cinema 4D, and I'm going to be doing it from way start, everything from scratch, so nothing would be like different or something like that. I just got a temporary monitor because my monitor is completely done, so it's gonna be like a bit of time taking, I do hope, but we're gonna be doing it very easily today. Okay, so the very first thing that I want to do here is create a sphere first for our base, and let's take it to a class hedge zone, and let's make the segments around 30. And what I want to do is I'm gonna pretty much make sure that I don't use any third-party plugin in this tutorial, just like Topcode or HDRI Studio. But if you have HDRI Studio, that's gonna be really helpful for you, and maybe you can get pretty much better reflections. Let's go ahead and create a new material, and let's go ahead in our reflectance channel and let's remove everything. Let's go and add a Beckman, and down here in layer Fresnel, let's add a dielectric. And let's make sure it's glass. Once that's done, let's go back to color, and inside here in color, let's make it pretty dark and pretty much brownish in color. Let's make it a bit more dark, maybe like 25. Okay, now with 25% mode, nothing more much to worry, and let's close this and let's apply this basic material to this. That would be our base material, so I'm going to be naming it like base. Oh my god, what I said there. Material. So much typing mistakes. Okay, now we have our pretty good base material here, but if you render it's completely, because we don't have any environment currently, so you need not to worry about it. Okay, maybe I'm going to be decreasing the reflectance by a bit. Maybe let's make it additive and take down the, let's go down here in Fresnel and let's take it down to 80%, or not 8% but 80%. No, let's do it 100%, and let's go global reflection brightness, take it to 80. That is going to do the work. There we go. Now we have it. Alright, time comes for creating those spheres around it. So if you go here back in our original one, we can see we're having 3 different colors, and these are the micro particles that are going to be hanging around, but we're going to be creating the bigger one first. Let's go ahead and create another sphere, and maybe just rename it. Oh my god, I'll rename it to big underscore particles. Okay, there we go. Now let's go ahead and MoGraph and make a cloner. Let's go back to big particles and not to scale it like that. Maybe just take down the radius 20 or maybe 25. This is gonna be the maximum radius that you're gonna get, not up to like you're gonna get something more bigger than that, but we're gonna be using this as the maximum radius. And let's go back in our cloner, make sure that's parent to cloner. Let's go to mode, make it object, and let's drag our sphere, and let's rename this sphere to like base. So if I hide this cloner and this particle for now, and if I go ahead and enable garage shading lines, so we're having pretty much good amount of segments here, and if you enable cloner in these particles, these spheres are going to be aligned to that particular segments that you see, these all particular segments. Let's go back into your cloner, and instead of vertex, that are going to be the vertex of that, even on each vertex it's going to align them. So let's go ahead and make it like volume surface. Let's make it volume. So if I go ahead and go to garage shading, and if I increase the count, so if I hope pretty much like 50 out there, but instead of volume, let's take it to surface, and you can pretty much play around this. So I want something like this for our big particles, need not to worry about these. And let's go ahead in transform, and let's change the scale to 1.5, 1.5 and 1.5. Nope, let's take it 1, doesn't really matter. Okay, Let's go to object, and maybe we can do a lot of things here. Let's enable scaling, and we can scale them around just to give them a bit of different scaling, or you can take that to 0 if you want a pretty much default scale that you have, but I'm going to be going them and taking to way up to 200%. And now here in scale spline, I don't think that is going to work because we already have that scaling enabled. You can already create that point sort of things, but we're not going to be playing around this for now. We're going to be keeping it like that. Okay, now we have our bigger particles. We can do two things here. We can either create material for them, or we can go ahead over to other materials, or maybe other particles. Let's go ahead and duplicate our cloner. Hold Control on your keyboard and drag the cloner down like that. Easy. And that is gonna give you with these particles again. Let's place it over here. I pretty much like to you know, align things particularly. I mistyped it. And let's name it like mid particle, something like that. Doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead in our mid particle type, and let's take down, or maybe go to big particles like around here, and let's take it down to 15 or maybe 18, so it's a bit smaller. Let's change our scale. There we go. So you can see we're having this particle being generated, and let's take this scale to 100%, maybe 150%. Now let's go back in and let's make it like 15, a bit more, not a bit more smaller, man, it sucks. It's like 20. Okay, there we go, we're getting something. And you can pretty much like play around the scale. There we go. That's what I pretty much I want here, because I want to be completely covered of these particles. Let's duplicate it once more time, or one more time. I didn't say once more. And let's make it like small particles. Let's go ahead and go to big particles and take down the radius to like 8. There we go. We have it pretty small. If I go ahead and disable that, there we go. There we have it. Let's go to small particles and let's enable the count to around 150. Maybe 250. And now you can change around. Maybe go to seed and pretty much play like where you can see a lot of these, or maybe 500 particles. So let's completely fills it up. I want to make sure, and let's change the scaling, and 1000 particles. There we go, it's filling now. Okay, once we have done that, maybe I can take it to like 300. I don't want pretty much way too much particles hanging around there, and we can pretty much play the seed there up till we get the amount we want, like that. Now what we want to do is to create the materials. Let's go ahead and duplicate this base material. Hold Control, do the same. Let's name it big, something like that. Let's go to color and change the color according to yourself. Let's make it pretty good white, like cyan colors. And reflectance, we have reflectance pretty much set it up. Doesn't really matter. And let's go to reflectance and make sure it's 100%. Global reflectance should be 100%. And now align it to big particles. Okay, let's go ahead and duplicate once again, and let's make it like mid. Let's go to color, and I want a pretty light greenish, something like that, and that is going to be aligned to mid ones, and maybe delete it and duplicate it. I want to be small, and let's make this a red, a dark red, something like that. Something like that, and we can assign it to the small particles. So it isn't gonna work for now because you don't have any sort of reflection here. Let's go ahead and center our camera like the way I want it to work for a while. There we go. Let's create a camera, and let's go ahead and apply a protection tag to it. So if I go inside my camera, there we have it. And if I go out of my camera, now I can pretty much work around with this. Like I can see it, I can do things, and I can do a lot more. Yeah, I can do a lot more. Okay, now the thing remains is I want to create the belt around it. Maybe I should just disable the small particles for a while because I don't have a GPU on my PC, so it's pretty much laggy. Let's go ahead and create a torus. Where it is. I don't even remember why I went to displacers. And now I can move out of my camera and I can have a look over to it, and I can see what things are going on. Let's go ahead and take down the radius to around 180, something like that, and let's take the pipe radius down a bit. Let's go back into our camera. You can always have a check. You must have a check, like what things going on, you must have a check. Doing all those things doesn't really matter. Okay, now I hope it's good. Yes, it is, but I want to make sure that pipe is a bit more thick, like 30 or something. There we go. Let's go ahead and create something for our torus, or let's create a material. Simply, I want to say that. Let's go ahead in our mat and disable the color channel. Yep, we're gonna do that. You can make a dielectric. I really don't know. We are gonna do the same step here, and let's make it glass. Let's enable transparency. After in transparency refraction, we can take it to glass itself, but I prefer like 5, 6, 7. There we go. 5, 6, 7. That's pretty much good displacement for that. And now if you apply this to it, you aren't literally gonna see it, but I prefer not to apply it before. Why am I dragging it? Let's go ahead and create a bend deformer. Now here we're gonna pattern it to torus, and there are a few things we need to do. It's not pretty big. Let's scale it out like that. Now let's go ahead now bend deformer, and let's check the angle. Let's maybe make it 0, enable keep y-axis length, and something like that. I want something like that, 20 degrees. Yep, 25%. It doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead and create a twist deformer. Apply the same, scale the twist out, and here comes the main part. Let's twist it. Oh, maybe I know it won't work. Let's flip this twist around, maybe 90 degrees. There we go. Now it should work. Let's go to twist. Ooh, I can't believe that. Okay, that was pretty good, I hope. Let's make it 45 degrees. Yep, there we go. We're getting something. Now what I want to do, I don't want to move the twist. Let's go back into torus, and let's move it and assign it pretty much like where we want it to be. Let's enable our material over to it, and there we go. We have the thing that we pretty much needed. Now, because once we have done that, how is this thing gonna reflect it? Now let's enable the small particles, and for pretty much good reflection, let's go ahead and create a physical sky. Yes, physical sky. Now if you want to know how physical sky works, it's simply taking off this time and location. I want to go to sky and time and time and location, and let's adjust the time here. It's the date of today, and it's 12 o'clock. It is not 12 o'clock, I assure you that. Right here I'm making it right in, I don't know. You can even change the city. Doesn't really matter, but we're not gonna be playing with the city today. And I should go back to here, and let's see. It's morning or evening. I don't know. Maybe it's 06. Let's make it like 6:30 a.m. I hope it's gonna work. No man, it's way too much dark. Let's go back. Let's make it. Yep, I know what time it is. It's 9:30. Yep, 9:30. Now I want to suggest you guys something. You can always go ahead and play around things, and always go ahead and create something new. It doesn't really matter. Like you see, we have created something today, and it's look pretty awesome. But you can go ahead and just take this bit down because it really sucks. Maybe 25. Yep, it should work now. Now comes the part of setting up our render settings. Those are the things that we're going to be doing today. Okay, let's go ahead into our render settings, and let's make it physical. I'm going to be telling you something more. Like, I don't have a GPU, so it's going to be pretty much noisy render, and I'm going to be telling you how you can reduce that particular noise. Let's go ahead and make it like 1920 by 1080. Now what I want to do is that instead of current frame, you can see we're having all static frames. It doesn't really matter, so that we can do a lot more of them. So let's make it from 0 to 5 so that we can get 6 frames. Okay, let's make the resolution to 300 ppi just in case you want to get it printed. Let's go to physical. Let's enable depth of field, and let's go to effect and enable ambient occlusion. This is the only thing we're gonna be using, and you can also check use sky environment just in case if you want. I'm not gonna be doing that, and I don't think we need much more. Something like that. You can use caustics but isn't water or something. Okay, there we go. We have pretty much ready. So if you render it now, it's gonna take a bit of time because we have ambient occlusion enabled now. So there you go. You can see we're getting a pretty good quality now. Yep. So let's go to your render settings, and always you can go ahead and increase the sampling quality if you're having a pretty good GPU and CPU. But let me show you something. Let's go ahead and create a new folder. If you're seeing this retro kind of effect, I made this out, but I don't think I'm going to create a tutorial onto that. It really took me a lot of time, and I don't know why I created this. Okay, let's name it like art or tutorial, something like that. Let's go ahead back here and let's go to your render setting. Let's go to save, and I'm going to be saving it as I don't know. Oh my god, I'm confused. Let's save it as a JPEG. 8 channel, no, let's save it as a TIFF. Make sure it's 16 channel per bit, and let's save it right around, where is it, tutorial, and let's save it as tutorial 1, something like that. Let's go ahead and render it out. So I can go ahead and render the picture viewer, and this is gonna take a bit of time because we're rendering around 6 frames. It's gonna be a bit of tough, so I'm gonna come back when it's done. So I hope you guys stay tuned. Don't worry, it isn't gonna take long. So now we have 5 or 6 frames rendered, and they're all same. Now I can tell you why I literally means render all 6 frames while all the frames are same and they look pretty much same either. This is only for people who don't have GPUs and want means a little less noise in their renders. So if you go ahead and zoom a bit, you can see we're having a bit of noise, and that is not available if you render it using a pretty good NVIDIA GPU or any sort of GPU which have a pretty much good amount of CUDA cores. And it doesn't really matter, it might be AMD, it doesn't really need to be CUDA, but the thing goes like that. But if you don't have a GPU, you can use all these 5 images and use the mean stacking method inside of Photoshop or any sort of photo editing software that you have. So I have Photoshop here, and let's go ahead and fit screen. It's gonna be given below in the description just in case if you need it. It's completely free of third party. Let's go ahead and file, and let's click on scripts, and here in the scripts click on load file into stack. Now go to files, make sure it's files, not folder. Let's go browse, and let's open up our, where it is, tutorial, and let's select all these except of that Cinema 4D file, and let's click OK. And that's gonna import every one of them, and let's click OK. Need not check any of these. Alright, here we go. Now we have our all those files ready, but now if I just zoom in a bit to show you guys what much amount of noise we have here, we're gonna be showing you how it looked before and how it's gonna look after. And I'm gonna be keeping it pretty much zoomed here. Let's go ahead and make sure all our images are in stack. Now let's disable all these above ones. It's up to you if you don't want to do that. And let's enable the right above one, and let's make it 50%. That's gonna be the half of 100. So if you disable it and enable it, doesn't really matter. Does anything much. Let's make it 33. Enable another one. We're gonna be editing the opacity. Make sure you're editing the opacity, not the fill. 33, 50, 33, and let's go down here. Let's make it 17. Let's go down more, and let's make it 11, or maybe, yep, 11, and let's down here, and let's make it like 4% of opacity, and I'm gonna be keeping it at 7, I hope. So what do we have here is I'm going to be grouping these all of Control G, and so if I just zoom in a bit, you can see this is the render we had before. This was the render we had before. Now if you see here over here at this part, you're gonna see the difference. You can see the noise here, and if I enable that, you can see the noise is gone. Not that much, but it is gonna come up with a pretty less noisy renders. Now you can press Control Alt and E or control shift E, and that is gonna give you with all the completely combined new layers, and that is gonna be the one layer that you have, and it's gonna be completely off that particular noise. Let's go let's go to image, canvas size, let's make it pixels and 1350, and there we go. Now you can adjust it. Let's go hit control alt shift W, and that is gonna come up with export options, and that is gonna export things for you. If you're facing all this noise, that's my brother giving my dog his food. Let's go ahead and save it as JPEG, and always click export all and export it wherever it was, like final, something like that. Let's go ahead and close it. I don't need it anymore. And maybe where did I put it? Where? What was the name, man? Oh, it's right here in center. And then we have our final image. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you gonna be learning something new today, and if someone could really help me with this. So I hope you learned something new today. Also make sure to like and subscribe this video, and also make sure to follow me on Instagram. I am really sick today. It's been a while. I haven't been uploading videos either. So I hope I'm pretty much fine now, and videos are going to be coming up a lot more frequently. So make sure that you like and subscribe. It's Saurabh Singh from Frosty Tech signing out. It's Frosty now, not Frosty Tech.